Hey there, guys. Zach. I spent the last I don't know 30 minutes just it's really funny to me that how strong the paradigm is when you tell people that plants are bad for them. They literally their brain they explode, and it's hilarious to watch because I there's no way to argue with me, right? I tell them I'm like, oh, so plants are good for you. Okay, so lectins, oxalates, heavy metals, and anti-nutrients, things that plants use to protect themselves from being eaten, those are good for you. And they're like, oh yeah, but you have to. Okay, so if that's true, if you believe that plants are good for you, name one nutrient that's in a plant that can't be found in meat in a more available form in meat. By the way, it is more bioavailable in meat that can't be found in meat, right? And then I'll tell you, well, listen, there are several, most all of the essential, meaning that if you don't get them, essential means if you don't get them, you die. Almost all the essential nutrients, essential amino acids specifically, mostly, and essential fatty acids only exist in meat, meaning you have to eat them or you have to supplement if you're a vegetarian. All plant foods break down into sugar. Sugar does what? Spikes insulin. Extended insulin spikes over long periods of time are known to be inflammatory and cause heart disease, diabetes, dementia, cancers. What is cancer? A cancer cell uses 400 times the amount of glucose that a regular cell does. What kind of dysfunction is that? It's a metabolic dysfunction. Thank you. Stop trying to argue with me. You are wrong. You are living in a paradigm where you think plants are good for you, and maybe they have a place. Like fruit maybe makes you feel good. You think it is. It acts on your dopamine receptors and you are addicted. Cocaine is also an addictive drug. I used to use it. I know. Okay, it's not good for you. All plants are not good for you. They all have a side effect. They all have a cause and effect, right? Something will happen if you eat meat. The only thing that happens is you break that down into fuel, which is the fat, and protein, which is what you use to build your body with. Okay, there is absolutely nothing in plants that is required for life. Nothing. No vitamins, no minerals, no nothing. It is a survival food. It is a variant of the food that you're supposed to be eating, right? You have essential amino acids, essential fatty acids. There is no essential carbohydrate. All plant foods break down into carbohydrate, which is sugar, right? It's very simple. I know it blows your mind and you just can't fathom this idea. And you can't fathom it because it's hard, right? Because you don't have what it takes to tell people no when you go out to eat. No, I don't want to have alcohol. I don't want to have this. I don't want to eat rice. I don't want to eat this sauce that's put on. It is all toxic. It is all poison. How many times do I have to tell you? You can't argue with me because you will ultimately be wrong. There is zero requirement for plant foods at all. And the other thing is and people will argue, and then I could tell when I won because they just start posting studies, right? And then earlier this I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but he posted a study from PubMed, and it was a proposal for a study. I'm like, dude, you didn't even read it. You just read the headline. You didn't even read those proposal. People are so stupid. You cannot argue with me about this. There's no way to win. I list the nutrients that are in there that are bad for you, right? Anti-nutrients. You think oxalates are good for you in broccoli? There's literally cyanide in most of the vegetables that are in production. That's not including the shit that we add to it. That's just natural. I'm not talking about the pesticides. I'm talking about natural compounds in the plants that are bad for you. And then we add more shit to it that's not good, right? That's true. Those are we add glyphosate to wheat, but wheat, you should never consume wheat. We're not designed to shoot. We're not designed to eat protein in wheat, which is gluten, which is in a lot of other plants as well. I know it's tough, right? Because when you acknowledge what I have to say, and I put that information out there, then you have to also acknowledge the things that have to come with it. And I know that's difficult, right? You it takes a lot of willpower. And you know what? Maybe you won't change your diet. Maybe you'll continue to do what you eat, and that's fine. But you should at least be able to recognize the paradigm and that it's incorrect and that there are certain things that you need to change, right? They have everyone, like the news media has everyone, like the COVID shit. You were manipulated because you can't change your paradigm. You can't change the thought, oh, well, maybe that's wrong, maybe that's incorrect. Listen, don't trust doctors. There are a few really good doctors out there that continually educate themselves. But if you he went to school for 8 years. If you went to 8 years of education in stupidity, that makes you proficient in stupid. It doesn't make you knowledgeable. It means you can regurgitate shit that's wrong. Do not trust a doctor. Like most doctors will send you to an early grave. You want to know the blood marker? You like, oh, your cholesterol is high. You need to be on a statin. Well, so they can make money, right? The If you have low cholesterol, you will die early. This is the studies are there, right? If you have low cholesterol, you will have numerous. You'll heal slower. You'll have more injuries. You'll sleep less. You have poorer vision. Your brain starts to go out sooner. There's just no real basis for that data except the fact that heart disease is caused by too much sugar too often. It is caused by insulin resistance, the same thing that's the cause for cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. I think actually autoimmune diseases are partially the crappy position you put your body in from being diabetic or having metabolic disorder, and then also the anti-nutrients in plants. It messes up your gut, and they're immunogenic. Your body has to attack them to make them go away, but it's not something it should be attacking because it's an overdrive because your body cannot function properly. Any like high blood pressure, that comes with diabetes as well. That's what damages your arteries, right? It's not the cholesterol. Cholesterol is everything in your body is made of cholesterol. It is the absolute most vital, oldest nutrient in your body. It is in no way, shape, or form bad. If it wasn't there, you'd be dead. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't exist. You have to stop with the paradigm. You have to, if you really want, maybe you don't give a shit about health, and that's a completely different thing. Then argue that, right? You can say, oh, I don't give a shit. I want to eat. I could at least respect that. But you want to argue when you don't know shit, and then you like post some stupid study. There's a study to match every idiot out there. Let me just put that way. Okay? Any idiot can go type in, I believe plants are good. Show me studies on plants are good. And there'll be 15 of them. But you're fat. Your A1C is above 5.5. Your fasting insulin is really, really high. You probably have low cholesterol. And like you think you're doing good. You're not. I was there. I was doing that. I had the high blood pressure. I had the shitty metabolic disorder. I know that I was doing that to myself. I didn't care, so I was eating all the bad food, like pizza and cheese and blah blah blah. And listen, cheese makes you fat. I know that for a fact. Cheese absolutely makes you fat. It absolutely will make you fat. No ifs, ands, or buts. Right? You can be on a calorie restriction and eat only cheese, and maybe you won't get fat, but it's not good for you. It's inflammatory. It causes you to hold on to the protein in cheese and dairy is just, it's not good, right? You want to try to eliminate that. But please stop arguing. You don't like you haven't armed, like I've armed myself with this data, right? I speak with authority on this because I have studied and watched and listened to the people that are doing the work, and I'm relaying that to you because I give a shit, right? I don't give a shit if you don't give a shit for yourself. But don't just argue because you don't want to take responsibility and accountability. Health is responsibility. Health is accountability. And it's not just about us, right? You don't give a shit about yourself, fine. But we have to teach our children how to eat so they don't end up as fat and as sloppy and as sick as we are. That's why I give a shit, because my kids in there are going to grow up in a world where it's fucking video games and everybody's fat and sick and can't do anything. And it's stupid. They need a shot. And by you arguing and trying to put you, instead of being able to say, hey, let me take that information and also share it with other people that might have a chance who actually give a shit about their health, just because you don't, right? I if I wouldn't have changed to carnivore, I would be dying right now. I'd be on my way out. My heart, I have all the signs of heart disease. I had my stuff checked. If I would have continued down the path I was going on, I'd be dead within however many years. I don't know. It could be probably 10, 5, who knows? But I know for a fact that you don't get anywhere just by arguing something that you've always believed. If you're an intelligent person can listen to something that's different and say, maybe that is true. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe I don't know everything. And instead of going out and trying to prove your point, try it. Take however many days. Check your blood now. Check your A1C. I know it's shit unless you're low carb and keto or carnivore. Do carnivore strict for 60 days. Suck it up. You've been fucking stuffing your mouth with bullshit for however many years. You can't take 2 months and fix your shit. Fix it. Do it for 2 months. Get your blood work done. Don't cheat. Don't say, oh, I was doing it when I wasn't, because I know a lot of people do that. Get it done afterwards, and then show me your blood work and tell me that I'm not right. Low carb is how we are not supposed to. And people say, oh, it's low carbs. There's barely any carbohydrates in plants. There's no point in consuming them in like vegetables, right? So if your low carb is basically cutting out the grains and the seeds, which is the most toxic part of plants, why wouldn't you think that we're not supposed to cut the whole shit out? Why is it only these parts of plants are bad? Is there a specific type of meat that's bad for me? No, they're all good for me. I can eat them, right? There's not a like I don't have to cook this meat a certain way to make it more like easier digestible or less toxic. Meat is just meat. I'm made of meat. Why would me eating something that I'm made of be bad for me? We are not plants. We're not from the same kingdom. We're not from the same phyla. We have nothing in common. And how you know what it is narcissistic. Vegans are narcissists. It's narcissistic to believe that plants want to be eaten, that they don't have biochemical weapons at their disposal to try to protect themselves from being eaten. And yes, so do other animals. They don't want to be eaten. But guess what? That's how the fucking animal kingdom works. Somebody's gonna win. There's an apex predator somewhere, right? Eat or be eaten. Eventually, we're all gonna die. All cows and all animals, they're all gonna die. Whether it's being eaten by another animal in the woods or being slaughtered in a quick way with and being processed for food. They're gonna die in either way. Every animal that's born is gonna die. There's absolutely no real argument that can be made, and there's no and the whole like climate change stuff with animal stuff, that's also bullshit. That's all lies, right? Every study that somebody pops up, I'm like, dude, Coca-Cola and Kellogg's paid for that study back in the 1950s. You really want to believe that? Most of our recommended daily values for foods like fruits and vegetables were done in meetings that were logistical meetings and not for health reasons. These aren't health people that come up with these things. These are business people. They do what's best for them. You may think that you're healthy. Check your A1C, check your fasting insulin. Those two things are going to be your greatest marker, not cholesterol. Okay, high your HDL might be somewhat of a marker, and low triglycerides is a good thing. But if you have elevated fasting insulin, that's metabolic disorder. That is serious. That will absolutely lead that happens in vegans. It's you sugar spikes insulin. There's no sugar in meat. All plants are sugar, which means all plants spike insulin in some capacity. If you don't want to spike insulin, you eat meat. And I promise you'll be like, oh, humans can't survive on meat. Bullshit. I've done it. I know tons of people that are in way better shape than me that only survive on meat. They just bitch and complain less than you do. They don't whine. They're able to get shit done, and they're not, oh, that's I'm gonna miss out. I'm not gonna be able to have my wine or this or that. Well, it's poison. There's no argument like they can say that alcohol isn't poison. Okay. You can do all these things now. You're going to pay the cost. You will absolutely pay the cost for not doing this correctly and doing it now. If you don't give a shit, then say that. Say, I don't really care. I want to die early. Then fuck it. Then, yeah, I can at least respect that. But don't fucking argue with me. You don't know what you're talking about. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to go find the data from somebody who does. And then I'll bring it. All right. But the stuff that I know now, I know is real. I know it works. I've seen it work. I've seen it. It changed my life, saved my life. It's just like, it just blows my mind that people are so stuck in these paradigms. And it's like every aspect of their life. It's not just food. You're stuck. And when you have real food freedom, when you're not addicted to something, then you start to see this shit. I got so many friends that are patriots out there that, they hate the government, this and that, and, Joe Biden taking my guns and this and that, but they're being poisoned by that same fucking system, and they will fight tooth and nail to prove me wrong. Go away, Zoe. You don't have any clothes on. You can't be in the video. Bye. I'm sick of it, dude. Like, you're stuck in your ways and you can't change. You can't do the same thing. You guys aren't gonna make it. You guys aren't gonna make it to 80 years old. I was gonna use the phrase, don't do the same thing every day for 80 years and call it a life. Y'all motherfuckers ain't gonna make it to 80. Not thinking that plants are good for you. Yes, you can get away with eating a vegetable here and there if you want to, but why? What do you need to do? You humans, we don't need to eat that often. I eat once a day now. I'm bigger and stronger than you. There's a few guys out there that have bigger arms than me, but not very many, and they're usually much taller than me. Most guys that are my height don't have arms my size, and most guys that are a foot taller than me still don't have arms my size. All I eat is meat. I don't eat plants. That shit is for the fucking birds. We don't need it. There's absolutely no reason to eat meat. I mean, vegetables. You only need to eat meat. So I just, it's a rant, but it's like, dude, you know what? At some point, you gotta understand that you're wrong, and everybody wants to be right. And I don't give a shit about being right. I'm showing you the results. Look what how my body has transformed, and how I feel, and mental capacity, and my clarity, and the things that are improving in my relationship with my wife, my kids, how much better they're doing on this diet, and just like to watch that and to feel human. Our sleep patterns are so much better. Like, everything falls into place. And everybody I know is like sick, and has terrible relationships. That their kids are ADD, ADHD, whatever, and like this is it. It is the food. It's the food. The government knew it when they did it. They knew what they were doing. They knew that they'd profit off of us, and you're falling into the trap. You call yourself a patriot, get your fucking ass off the couch, stop eating carbohydrates, and fix yourself. Because if you don't fix yourself, you're not going to go out there and save anyone. You got 1,000 rounds in your fucking that you just bought, or you saving up your ammo, and you ain't gonna do shit. You can't fucking run across the floor. What are you gonna do? Your fat ass can't even run. And I'm not putting you down. I'm trying to build you up. I'm calling you up. My pastor said that yesterday. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling you up. It's time to step up and do some shit that's gonna change your life. You ain't gonna make a difference for anybody for any length of time if you can't take care of yourself first. You got to take accountability and do what you got to do. Talk to you guys another time.